Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Marc Ernay, and this is the head coach of the Jaspers baseball team, Manhattan Jaspers, as we are talking Jaspers baseball with Dave Miller. And, Coach, it's been a while. Hope all is well. Obviously, last weekend at Hofstra was not the worst thing in the world. Took 2 out of 3 to get back on track a little bit. 17 runs on Saturday. I don't want to take all the credit, but the offense was in a pretty big funk until I showed up Saturday.
Yeah, I mean it's been a tough stretch. I mean, you know, we're 19 games in. We haven't played a home game yet. Um, I don't make excuses for the boys, but I mean, again, we have a grueling schedule where we're on a bus trip and then we come home, and then 2 days later we're on a flight. We come home 2 days later we're on another bus trip. So the bats just kind of went silent for the spring break trip down at Gardner Webb and at Clemson, and we had some opportunities to win some ball games, and we couldn't get runs across. I mean, again, I always tell you I remember the losses. I don't remember the wins. I couldn't tell you what we did at Hofstra other than we put up some big numbers, but I know at Gardner Webb we had first and second, nobody out, innings 1 through 5, and we couldn't play at anybody. So that's just bad baseball. So
Well, I can tell you Saturday was a 13-run fifth inning, I'm pretty sure it was. And just so everybody's aware, we didn't decide to dress up like twins today. I
yeah,
actually wore this black sweatshirt to the game on Saturday. I figured neutral colors, you're playing Hofstra, my alma mater. I should be, somewhat neutral. And then I remembered as I was walking into the ballpark that you guys were wearing your black unis. So
yeah, right.
they weren't happy with me out in Hempstead, but well, you guys needed the wins more than they did, frankly. So,
Well, yeah, we needed to get off the skid, and it was good to see the boys finally string together some hits and some quality at bats. And again, we've been putting together some really, really good pitching quality starts and some quality relief outings from our guys. And we've been playing decent defense. We got to get back. We got to clean some things up. But I mean, you know, I'm not happy with where we are right now, but I'm happy with where we are right now compared to where we were 6 days ago. So 7 games ago.
well, it's that, and year two as you continue to build this thing. Um, I would think that you have to be at least marginally happy with the way the offense has looked now the last 3 games, right?
Well, I mean, like I think a lot of these young guys. I mean, Frank and Logan and Danny are probably the only 3 guys that have had consistent starts for Manhattan. Everybody else are freshmen or portal guys who weren't an everyday player at their homes last year. So we're kind of starting 7 new guys, and so you got to take the good with the bad. You got to let them get their feet wet and really get acclimated to Division I college baseball. They're seeing it's not high school baseball anymore. It's everybody is really good, and so we're trying to be patient, and we know we played some very good competition, which is what I want. I want them to play the Clemsons and the Alabamas to get ready for conference, which is what we really, really, truly care about. So,
Well, I know you enjoyed the trip back to your alma mater to Clemson for that midweek series, but what was the reaction from the guys when Coach Sweeney shows up?
I mean, that was an interesting story, man. I mean, we're not, I wasn't there, but the kids were all having dinner at a restaurant out down in Clemson, and turns out that I guess Dabo is part owner of that restaurant, and he was in there with a recruit, and the guys were just sending me pictures of him. You can tell they were secretly taking photos. I was just telling the guys, "Don't you do it? Don't you dare go over there." But the interesting part is Dabo got up and came over to the guys and said, was really genuinely a nice guy. You know, knew exactly why we were here. We were in town to play the Tigers, and as soon as the guys told him that, they were big Clemson fans and that their coach played at Clemson, he got his brother on the phone and set up an entire tour for the whole team. So it was a really, really, really special day for the guys, and I earned a lot of respect for that head coach because he took a lot of hours out of his next day to show us around.
And then your stroll down memory lane kind of continued on Tuesday of this week when you went to visit St. John's. and your old teammate, albeit for about a minute and a half, Mike Hampton, the head coach of the Red Storm.
Yeah, Mike and I were teammates, which would have been my sophomore year. He came in for his junior year. He was only at Clemson for a season as he was drafted, coming out of junior college. But Mike and I have been friends for a long time, and love playing against him and competing against him and seeing him. And I hate losing against him. So, but yeah, it was good to see Mike, and they got a nice little team over there, and I'm proud of what he's done.
All right, let's talk about your team. You mentioned some of the pitching. We'll start there. Noah Matera has looked real good. He's off to a 3-1 start. What have you seen from him?
He's just he's a strike thrower that can control both sides of the plate with multiple pitches, and he's able to get ahead of hitters, which is what you ask out of anybody. He's a low walk guy, and he's not going to strike out the world, but he's going to pitch the contact. And again, we put out our best defense when he pitches, and he's done a fantastic job. I mean, he's controlled the every start he's had this year, and he's off to a great start.
He is your innings leader, slightly ahead of Justin Solomine. How has Solo looked? I know he got off to a much better start than a lot of us expected coming back from the Tommy John surgery. Couple of bumps along the way, but what have you seen?
Yeah, Solo, he's doing a great job for us. I mean, he's coming off of surgery, so again, we're a little patient with him. We're not trying to rack up his pitch counts, but as we get into conference, it's time to unleash him and let him go out there and throw. Justin is one of our hard throwers. He's sitting in the 92, 93 range, and he can run it up there when he needs to. I think if we could ask anything from him is just to get a little bit more ahead of hitters and pitch in 1-2 counts and 0-2 counts rather than 2-1 and 3-1 counts. But we got to let Justin be. He knows what he's doing. He's a vet. He's been in the game a while, and he's done a fantastic job for us. So with conference, he'll throw Friday, and hopefully he can go out and give us 7 quality innings.
Yeah. So what is the plan for the weekend as you get set for the home opener against Mount St. Mary's?
Well, I mean, Solo will start Friday, obviously. I mean, but there's some weather looming. Saturday is going to look rough, so I don't know what we'll wait till tomorrow to make that decision. But I'm trying to get my guys to prepare for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but also be prepared for a Friday doubleheader Sunday. So Sunday we are, I don't know in what order yet, but I think we're going to have Garrett Garbinski move into the weekend slot to start, and Noah will start the other game. So we'll see what happens, and we'll just see how the rain unfolds.
And then before we move into the offensive side, Greg Shaw coming out of the bullpen has picked up pretty much right where he left off last season, and then some, because when you look at the national leaders among earned run average, obviously you start with the small numbers and you work your way down from there, but he's just over half a run allowed per 9 innings. I think 0.54 as of this morning.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, when Greg decided to put the bat down and concentrate solely on pitching, you can see how great he's done. He is, his velocity has jumped 4 to 5 miles per hour. He's now, low to 90, 92 kid. But what is really, really awesome with him is he's gotten a breaking ball last year that was kind of just a spinner, to now where he has a nice hard slider, but his changeup is his bread and butter. I mean, it's a major league pitch, and just watching him grow over the last year has been phenomenal. He's, you wouldn't know he's even in the room. He's the most quiet kid on the planet, but when he steps foot on that mound, everybody knows he's there. So.
And you mentioned Garbinski will get a start over the weekend. He is your saves leader at the moment. So who is going to step up on the backside of the bullpen?
Well, I mean, we look at, Garbo, we've learned that as he pitches and he gets into a rhythm, he gets better as the innings come along. So he's a guy that we want to see go 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 innings. And And now Greg and Mike Stiano will be our two back end guys with Trey Packin. And now that we have Jack Mahoney back, we have a very deep bullpen, and we have three quality starters for the weekend. So I feel we're in a really good place. I just feel really comfortable with Shaw and Stiano and Mahoney, having the baseball, and Trey having the baseball in their hands in the late innings. So if we can ask Garbo, Noah, and Solo to give us 5 or 6, then we should be in a very, very, very good position.
Okay, let's turn to the bats, and I don't think it's any accident that your 3 games breaking out offensively, 17-6 against Hofstra on Saturday. I think it was 8-2 on Sunday, and then the 5 runs you put up in the loss against St. John. So if my math is right, that's 30 runs over the last 3 games. I don't think it's an accident that Frankie Marinelli is also on a 3-game hitting streak now.
Yeah, well, Frank's the table setter. I mean, I think early in the season, Frank was trying to do a little too much, swinging, too hard, trying to show us he's a power guy, and he's not. He's the guy that he is the 500 on base percentage guy. He's the guy that's got to get his singles and his doubles and steal second, get his walks, steal second and third, and be the guy that is okay with driving in or scoring the runs, so he's done a much better job of going back to, his way of hitting, just line drives right up the middle and hard ground balls and walks. And it's starting to come around.
Danny Perez started the season on an 8-game hitting streak. He's cooled off a little bit, but what have you seen from him?
Just another guy who, a lot of these guys, when the bats went cold, a lot of these guys all tried to become somebody they're not. And I think that's what got us in a little bit of trouble is, everybody wanted to hit the 10-run home run with nobody on base. And, we just got to play our game. We have some power in our lineup, but, I don't think we're a power hitting team. We're just a group of guys that, we split gaps and hit line drives, and we got to take our walks when we can. And, I think Danny got away from hitting his pitch, and he started chasing. It seemed like we were in 0-2 counts an awful lot the last 10 games. And that's just from guys panicking when they don't need to panic. Just hits are contagious. And, when we start putting up good at-bats, they start to fall like dominoes. And when you start to put up some bad at-bats, we strike out like it's like dominoes. And so it's good to see the bats starting to come around. Guys are relaxing a little bit. Trying to get them not to panic. Even myself, I had to take a reset, and I went home and listened to some motivational speeches and some friends of mine who are motivational speakers, and kind of got me back on track. I was losing sight of what I was doing, and we just got to play. Every year I coach differently. I coach to the team we have, and so this year I've got to. We might be a little bit smaller and bunt more, hit and run more. Next year maybe we let them free swing a little bit, but until the bats really, really get going, we just got to figure out how to, score first and then add on and tack on. And we're going to play 5-3, 5-4 ball games.
Well, you mentioned you're not a power hitting team, and evidenced by the fact that you have 9 home runs in 19 games. But interestingly, at least to me, 6 of those home runs hit by your new guys. You've got Vinny Davis with 3. Andreas Lewis, who had a shot into the visitors' bullpen the other day at St. John's, has 2 of them. And Dylan Mayer, your center fielder, on a 3-game hitting streak, he hit one against the Johnnies that went out like a 5-iron to left center field that might still be rolling around on Utopia Parkway.
You definitely, the power potential is there. Vinny Davis is our power hitter. We brought him in to hit the ball out of the ballpark. If you saw this kid's legs, they're tree trunks, and, he's a big, strong kid. And Andreas, he's the same way. But Dylan, he's a guy that we think can be an on-base guy. And, in time, he'll be that 15 to 20 double guy, that 365, 370 guy with 10 plus home runs. He has that kind of power potential. He's just got to kind of grow into it and be confident enough to know that he can do it and just stay within himself. But yeah, it's been a while since we had multiple home runs in a game, so it was good to see it at St. John's, and hopefully that will unlock some things on some guys. But again, I want us to just take this day by day, pitch by pitch, until these young guys, we can kind of not call them young anymore, and they can start playing like veterans.
I want to talk about a couple of guys that we haven't touched on yet. Josiah Brown had been your steady shortstop. He had a home run, a 3-run shot against Hofstra on Saturday, and I know he was in your original lineup on Tuesday. Can you talk about what happened there that he sat?
Yeah, and he Sunday afternoon playing Hofstra, one of their players slid into Josiah, and it kind of tweaked his wrist the wrong way, and we didn't think much of it. He didn't say much of it until Tuesday when he tried to take batting practice, and the wrist just wasn't working right. And, there was no need for us to push him. And, I would rather have him for Mount St. Mary's. So, we scratched him, late scratch before the game started, and got Jake Hatch in there and moved Danny over to second. I'm from second to short, and everything's fine. We're battling. We're a little nicked up right now with a couple of our players, but Trevor Santos, he got hit in the head in, I guess it was, I don't know if it was Clemson or Gardner Webb, but he's out with a concussion. And Chase Swain is coming back off of a hamstring injury, so it'll be good to have Chase come back and be in our lineup again this weekend. But yeah, we're just trying to get some guys healthy, and we get all 9 of our main guys out there. It could be fun to watch.
I talked to Chase for a little bit before the game on Tuesday, and he was targeting tomorrow to come back for the home opener. That's in the works.
Yep, Chase will play tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to run him out to center field just yet, but with Trevor hurting, maybe we can leave Dylan in center for a game or two and hide Chase in right, so he doesn't have to run around too much with the hamstring.
So. And certainly with the short porch, there's not a whole lot of running around in right field anyway at Clover Stadium. How nice is it going to be to finally be at home?
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's awesome to have a home game, but we have not stepped foot on Rockland Boulder Stadium yet this year, so it's not going to be much of a home game for our new guys because they don't know what they're working with. So it'll be interesting to get these guys out there and get them used to our own ballpark.
So what time do you get there tomorrow for a 3:00 start?
We'll try to get out there about noon and, stretch, throw, and then we start taking batting practice at 1:00. And, we got to get them out there and, really get a lay of the land. I think we'll be the first game at Rockland this season.
Yep.
So, I don't think Stack or Dominicans played over there. So, we'll be interested to see what the field looks like, but, we got to be ready to play baseball.
And did want to touch on the defense because, again, just looking at raw numbers, 21 errors in 19 games. And I don't want to make light, but it felt like you had 21 errors last year in the first 9 games. So yeah. What have you seen defensively?
Well, we're faster, we're smoother. And, we went out and we knew we were going to have a good pitching staff, so we concentrated on recruiting solid defense. I mean, Josiah is a heck of a shortstop. Danny Perez is, you put that kid at second or short and he's money. Drew Wires is a heck of a third baseman. I mean, having Chase back, when we can get him back into center field, you now have probably one of the fastest kids in the league patrolling center field. But, it's just Frank in left and Trevor Santos in right. I mean, it's just a really solid defense. We're okay pitching to contact with this defense. And I know for a while we were running in the top 20 in the country in fielding percentage. I haven't kept up with that, but guys tell me this stuff. And, that's good to see because we work really hard on our defense. And, we knew that was an issue last year. I think we were bowling dead last in the MAAC. At 950 fielding percentage, that's just not good enough. I want to field in 970 plus every season. So it's good to see that we're on pace.
Yeah, you're right under that right now, 967. And I guess one of the problems is your opponents are at 975 all told. So that may help to explain the upside down record right now. What have you seen from Mount St. Mary's on film? Obviously, their win-loss record not so great, but they're coming off I think 15 runs the other day in their win over Coppin.
Yeah, I wouldn't put in. I mean, if you look at their numbers, they've had a couple tough losses. I mean, they got walked off like us a couple of times, like we did at Gardner Webb when they were down at Richmond. They're a veteran team. They're old. They're all juniors and seniors, so this should be a year for them to do something. So I don't want to take their win-loss record lightly. We've got to go in and we've got to play clean baseball. I know they pitch well. I know they have a hard throwing freshman that's touching 99. So we've got to be ready for that. And, they're big and strong. I think they hit a lot of home runs last year, but I worked under Frank when he was the head coach at William and Mary. So I know he likes to, try to shake it up and bunt and hit and run. So we got to be ready for just about anything with these guys. And, for us, I got to worry about just going out there, hitting the baseball, putting the ball in play with 2 strikes, pitching well, playing good defense, and I think good things can happen.
For the record, they beat Coppin State on Tuesday, 17-16, and it was reminiscent, at least to me, of the finale that you guys played in your series against them last year up in Rockland. I think that was a 15-10 game after you had beaten them the first 2. They were able to take the third and salvage or at least avoid getting swept. What do you remember from seeing them last year, and what do you take into this series against them?
Well, again, we don't want to take anything lightly, but, what I think would be great for the Manhattan Jaspers would be to get into their bullpen early and often. If we can do that, and, I don't know what the wind conditions will be like, but if we can keep Mount in the ballpark, I think we'll be okay. I think we have a much better pitching staff this year than we did last year. So, excuse me. I just think we got to go out and play our game and play good defense. Like we said, and I think the main goal for us this weekend would be to get to their bullpen.
And just to remind everybody, the first game of the series last year was maybe the best pitch game of the season. Will Hesslink, a complete game 3 hitter, walked only 1, struck out 10. Of course, these days he's serving as one of your assistant coaches. We see him on the first base lines. How has his transition to the coaching life been?
Will's going to be one heck of a coach. He's already extremely smart when it comes to pitching. He's been our first base coach and our volunteer, or our third assistant, I guess we call him now. But he's been a great addition to the staff. He's worked extremely hard to help and assist my Coach Rosen with pitching, but he's also been really helpful with me and Coach Wingo and helping us with ground balls. And he's doing all the things he needs to do to learn to be a great coach. So if I'd be lucky if I can keep him here for 2 years before somebody goes out and makes him their head pitching coach.
Yeah. Hey, and speaking of Wingo, we're going to get to see him on the third base lines for the first time at a home game. What do the folks watching need to know about him?
Well, Scott, I mean, Scott's a big time guy. You draft pick that won 2 national championships. I'm leaning on Scott. I want to let him try to run the offense as long as we're on the same page. If he decides he wants to hit and run or he wants to drop a bunt, I'm okay with him doing that. We have conversations right before he runs out third, and I kind of tell him where I want with this inning, and then I let him see what he can do. But again, I'm not a head coach that micromanages. I want these guys to learn. I did it. I was able to coach the way I wanted to, and I want these young guys to go out and be the best coach they can. And in order for them to do that, I've got to let them make some decisions and make some mistakes and, make some decisions that turn out to be really positive. And it really gets these guys excited to want to come and coach because they know that their input actually means something.
All right, last thing, so I can lay out my wardrobe for the weekend. What's the uniform rotation? What's the fit rotation?
Tomorrow, we're going to get to wear our whites for the first time this season, which is awesome. And then Saturday we'll wear our blacks, and Sundays we'll wear the Bronx Kelly greens. And
Okay.
we're really, I mean, we've gotten more emails and instant messages from people wanting the Bronx jerseys and sweatshirts than I've ever seen with a uniform. So I think we might have something there that these Bronx unis.
Nice. Looking forward to seeing you, sir. Enjoyed the time as always, and can't wait for tomorrow already. Can't believe
Awesome.
it's finally here.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right, that is the head coach of Manhattan College Baseball, Dave Miller. I'm Marc Ernay. We've been talking Jaspers baseball. The home opener is tomorrow. All 3 games will be broadcast on ESPN Plus against Mount St. Mary's from Clover Stadium up in Rockland. And if you can't join us at the ballpark, we certainly hope you can join us on TV or however you watch ESPN Plus. We'll talk to you next time on Talking Jaspers Baseball. Thanks, Coach.